different today.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about something that isn't game related necessarily. It's a series that has had many video games over the years, but it is primarily a television show. And it is a television show that you and I grew up with. Our generation knows very near and dear. SpongeBob Squarepants, guys.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to be taking our information from an IGN article. I'm just going to read through it a little bit, and then we can talk about it, Josh.
Okay.
I think it's a little ridiculous considering SpongeBob SquarePants as a show. Let me get into it, and I'll talk in a minute.
Okay.
So SpongeBob SquarePants episodes have been pulled over storyline concerns. So you hear that, and you're like, what the fuck? So the SpongeBob SquarePants episode Midlife Crustacean is out of rotation and is not available to stream on Paramount Plus or purchase digitally on services like Amazon. Another episode, titled Quarantined Crab, with a K, mind you, also appears to have been shelved due to plotline similarities to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, Josh, you know the episode Midlife Crustacean for sure. It first aired on Nickelodeon in 2003. It was a part of Season 3 of SpongeBob SquarePants, and it featured Mr. Krabs in a midlife crisis. SpongeBob and Patrick help out Mr. Krabs and show him a good time. This is the infamous Panty Raid episode.
Yes.
So a representative from Nickelodeon reached out and said, Midlife Crustacean has been out of rotation since 2018, actually, following a standards review in which they determined some story elements were not kid appropriate. And, you know, usually cartoons, they had a 15-minute episode and a 15-minute episode combined into one.
Right.
We're going to call that I think it's called a partner or companion episode. That one was the Great Snail Race, and that is still available on all marketplaces.
That's a good one.
And all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great episode. So is Midlife Crustacean.
It is.
So let's talk about Midlife Crustacean. Josh, you remember the Panty Raid?
Do I remember the Panty Raid?
I guess you're gonna miss the Panty Raid. The what?
That's my first experience with Panty Raids, was that episode, dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Maybe the episode should be banned then, because it did introduce kids to
dude, there's no kid that
Panty
there's
Raid.
no fucking kid on the face of this earth that's gonna understand what that episode's actually like referencing, right? And even the way they present it is it's so watered down and like non-offensive in any way, at least personally, that I find it. I mean, I guess it's been a minute since I watched it, but
well, if you remember, the punchline of the episode is that the house they're raiding is actually Mr. Krabs' mom's house.
Right.
So it's her underwear that they're going through.
It's just
and she actually sends Mr. Krabs to time out in his childhood bedroom.
Right, yeah.
I can think of so many other SpongeBob episodes that have moments that are more questionable than this.
Mm-hmm.
There's the infamous curse word episode where they're saying curse words and they use
the dolphin
little sound effect. Yeah, insert that if you can in the editing, Josh. Make a note of this.
Yeah.
So SpongeBob will say, "How the f*** are you?" And instead of "fuck," it'll have the seahorse noise, or the horse noise. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So there's an example. The whole episode's about cursing and like censorship. It's just making a joke of it. I'm not saying that episode should be banned. I'm just presenting more episodes.
Yeah.
How about the episode where SpongeBob is watching porn? Gary walks in and he's like, Gary!
Yeah.
And it was the little sea anemones or whatever dancing.
Yeah. Dude, it's just listen, this is not exclusive to SpongeBob, right? There are so many cartoons, right, that have adult content in them because usually adults are watching them with their kids, right? And you want to get both of those demographics in one. So like it's just listen, man. This is just not a big deal at all. This is completely overblown censorship, fucking pandering bullshit that we've seen time and time again. And I compare it to the Disney stuff, right? Where they had extremely racially sensitive cartoons, right? But instead of removing them, right, which would have been the easy thing, they put up warnings in front of them, right?
Josh, I'm glad you brought that up because that is my next point.
Okay.
IGN actually reached out and asked which scenes caused the controversy. And they also asked if Nickelodeon would ever consider putting a content warning in front of the episode. And the representative for Nickelodeon said no comment.
No comment. I haven't got a comment for you. Go f yourself. What?
So yeah, it's a great point. The Disney stuff, they just put a warning in front of the episode saying, "Hey, this episode might have things that are a little bit offensive for the times it is now, but when it was created, it wasn't a big deal."
Right.
And you had the choice whether or not you wanted to continue watching or turn it off.
Yeah.
Now, is SpongeBob big of a, does it have as big of a legacy as Disney? No, but is SpongeBob fucking huge?
Yeah.
Yes.
It still is. Like,
it still is. They're still milking it for money after Steven Hillenburg, who has since died, he requested, I want this thing to end and I don't want it to continue after my death. And they still have continued it. So, it's huge. And it's different for Disney because Disney, their content is like legacy content that, animators can go back and watch and, learn things from. And it's also just a relic of the time.
Yeah.
The Nazi stuff,
right?
The racist stuff.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that all exists, but it's still history.
But it does
erase it.
Yeah, exactly. But it does exist. Don't erase it. If anything, use it as a point of conversation. And obviously, the Disney stuff is way more. You can learn way more from that. Like, you can be educated way more on that than a fucking panty raid in SpongeBob. But my point is, and see, as a human being, I have conflicting beliefs, as everybody does. Nobody is black and white and cut and dry, right? I am I am a liberal. I am a progressive leaning person always, right? But I also think that virtue signaling and censorship for censorship's sake is bullshit. And I think that you trying to virtue signal or wash away stuff like this is fucking stupid. And I think that regardless of what the content is, not having the creation or whatever it is out there is really stupid. And you're pandering, right? You're pandering. You're doing this woke BS cash grab shit so that people are like, oh, good job. You're protecting our kids from learning about sex and panty raids. Like, no, you're fucking not, dude. You're just removing an avenue for them to learn it, maybe in a fucking funny way, rather than them experiencing it like negatively in real life or something. And I think it's it's stupid.
No, you're right. And it's not like they were, saying panty raids are great. I mean, SpongeBob and Patrick and Mr. Krabs were like excited to do it, obviously, but they got punished for it, right? So they're showing you it's not something good.
Right.
It's not a good thing to do.
Right.
But regardless, it's a joke. It's silly. It's stupid, and it's really not, offensive in my eyes at all.
It's not meant to be taken seriously, literally at all. Nothing in SpongeBob is, ever.
Yeah. Well, let me touch on the second episode, the Quarantine Crab. This one I understand a little bit more. It's more recent. It's from season 12 of SpongeBob. So this is one that you and I have most definitely never seen.
Yeah.
So it's called Quarantine Crab, and it features the return of the health inspector. Do you remember the health inspector episode?
Oh.
So the health inspector,
the guy with the hat,
he came to inspect the Krusty Krab, and I'm pretty sure they like knock him out, and they
yes, okay,
yeah,
all right,
he's like dead.
Yeah, right, okay.
So which is funny right there. It's another example of like them killing this guy. They think he's dead. They try burying him and shit. He was alive the whole time, mind you. So anyway, he's back at the Krusty Krab, and he finds a case of clam flu in the restaurant and quarantines all patrons inside. The characters immediately begin distrusting each other, and anybody assumed to have the virus is shunned and thrown in the freezer.
Wow.
So it's literally like One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah, and literally representing real current times that we're living in.
Yeah. So this was not featured on the season 12 DVD. They took it out. I assume that came out last year or like late 2019. And it makes sense to remove this one because with everything happening with the coronavirus, so many people have died, and you don't want to be insensitive to that. However, it doesn't need to be like completely removed. Just don't advertise it in my eyes. Like, you could put it out, but don't just make a big deal out of it. Or even just wait and hold it and then re-release it later on down the line.
Yeah. I don't agree with removing it. I think you could still use it as a point of education. You could still put a warning up, right? you could be like, hey, look at, donate to all of these people that are trying to help victims of COVID-19 or like families of COVID-19 deaths or whatever it is. Like, use it as a point for something good. Don't remove it for removing its sakes. Like, you're being overly precautious for no reason. And I really, no matter what the context is, I really hate companies that do it. Like, because you just remove a point of educating people, or just, I don't know. I think all censorship is bad. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, this episode could clearly have a notice in the beginning that says, this episode was created before the coronavirus pandemic. We apologize for any similarities, or almost like a South Park thing. Like, the similarities to real people. They did a whole episode.
They did a fucking pandemic special, dude. They did a pandemic special. You didn't see Comedy Central being like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know why? It's called satire. And it's fine.
Damn, that was a really nice angle you just gave us. But I agree. Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't really understand why they would do this. So when asked, I'm sorry, the episode is pulled from Paramount Plus and Amazon. iTunes, it's still up if you buy the whole season. And DVDs from as late as 2020 featured the Panty Raid episode, but not the Quarantine Crab episode.
All right, well.
So it's interesting. They removed it back in 2018, apparently, but if you buy the DVD that was put out in 2020, it's still there.
Whatever, man. Shit's stupid.
So that was a little bit of SpongeBob news for you guys. Just wanted to bring it up and talk about something a little bit different this week. And, SpongeBob was a huge part of our childhood, and there's so many memes and references that we still quote to this day from SpongeBob. So, yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Josh and Bret really need you too. I love them. So do it. It would be a shame if you miss more of their videos. Hit the notification bell too, so you know when there is a new upload.